Good morning and welcome to the episode of the Ad Drop Podcast. I'm your host, Terrance Biggs. It is that time of year again, getting back to football. We always got to stop in with one of my favorite stops. He's the head football coach at Moravian University, Coach Jeff Long. Coach Long, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, my friend. Great to be back. Excited for Team 99, man.
What was the offseason like after such a successful regular season and making it to a bowl game and playing well? What was the mood like when you were able to kind of get away from the office for a little bit?
It's definitely nice to, Thanksgiving, relax a little bit, see the family, and then really went right back into recruiting. It's funny. We try our best to make sure that we never sleep on that, we don't want to rest on our laurels. So went right back into recruiting, and official visits really started in December, and trying to make sure you can just, get this now incoming freshman class going. And we were very excited about that. I think we got some great young guys that are going to be coming in. And so I think it's funny. My wife says, I think like Christmas time, I was able to take like a week or two and just kind of reset a little bit. But that was awesome. It was great to reflect back. It was thankful for those seniors. They did a phenomenal job in leading Team 98. And now, as soon as we got back in January, it was hey, it's Team 99. First meeting at Team 99, and you can't take anything for granted. What we've done previously means nothing in terms of dictating this season, right? We can look back fondly, we can enjoy memories, and we always love our Hounds, right? We love our guys. Can come back whenever. But now, Team 99, we got to forge our own path, and it's been an exciting journey so far.
As a defensive guy, is it harder to teach technique or toughness in a defensive lineman?
Oh, I say this, and it's probably one that's been said many times, like the toughness in order to succeed. We had the D-line Zoom last night. We were talking about it. The willingness to be violent and create violent knockback, in my opinion, is something that you have. You cannot develop that. Like that's not something that like, oh, hey, I have this specimen looking child or young man, but if he don't bite, right? If he ain't gonna bite as a puppy, he ain't gonna bite as a dog. So that's really technique. We can drill, we can repeat, we can really, I think, master our craft, muscle memory. I think that's what I love, right? That's what we love as coaches, because the D line can be, it's simple. You can have an hour indie and it's the best hour of your life. And you could send me down for another hour because you're always learning something and you're focusing on the little things. The world gets simpler in D line or O line indie, in my opinion. All right.
Now, what was throughout the season? There were highs and there were lows. There were more highs than lows. When you look at where the program was when you took over and where you were able to take the program, are you surprised?
Um, I wouldn't say surprised. I think there's always hey, you have an expectation in your own brain as a competitor of where you think you could go. The exciting part is the guys, I think, continue to every day buy into the prep that's needed in order to be successful at the college level. And it's been fun to watch that. I think last year, physically, we closed the gap with a lot of our opponents where in the first year we were just trying to fight to survive, and the guys were playing hard, but then we had an off season behind it of, hey, we're continuing to grow physically and build together. And now that's the next step, right? But I wouldn't say surprised because I believed in the talent of the young men and that we have, like they're talented kids. And I think the ability of them to continue to come together has been exciting to watch. And now I'm just trying to show them the way, walk the path with them, and continue to get them closer and closer.
When you look at moving from Team 98 to Team 99, one of the things that, and talking to other folks around, other coaches, that the one thing they have said about your program is that the Hounds are now known. There's no surprise when they play. They know they're going to get punched in the mouth on offense and on defense. When you hear fellow coaches say that there's no more, like, not so much surprise, but there's no more not knowing what you're going to get from Moravian, is that a compliment to you?
More compliment, to the program, right? Like I have a very small role in this. I'm not even trying to understate it. I set the schedule for the day. and try to show them the way. The guys are really working hard. And I think that physicality that we are continuing, we haven't even arrived to where we can be yet. But it's been, yes, that's a huge compliment to our program. I take that with great pride. And now, like I said, hey, now our challenge all offseason has been now, like you said, there's not going to be anybody who's shocked, right? That, oh, the Hounds are here to play. So now that's a whole nother level of preparation on the opponent's end that you're going to have to deal with now. They're going to give you your best, not just when during a rivalry game, right? Not just, oh, they've played well. It's from Jump Street. And that's exciting because that's how you take the next step as a program is can you handle that not only, hey, raise your own level of prep, but then be ready for, hey, you're circled now on 7 of the 11 games last year, right? We won that team now circles you on the schedule, right? Even Shenandoah, if they get another chance to play us, they're going to be circling that, starring it, right? Just like we looked at our games that we lost, and it's like, hey, you star them and circle them. Hey, how can we find a way to win them this year, right? But that is a great compliment to our program, and again, I put it on the kids and the staff of they know the standard, and we continue to try and raise it each day. But that physicality and that brand of football is something we're continuing to try and get better at.
Things I noticed last year is how, like I said, we mentioned how stout the defense was, being scoring defense, total defense. Pretty much every defensive stat, the Hounds were at the top of the landmark. When you look on the other side of the ball, offense, how much easier does that make it for your offense, knowing that no matter what, that defense is going to be there to shut the opponent down?
Well, when we complement each other, that's when the day can be less excruciating for a coach, right? I think that's any coach will tell you the game day is the 4 hour root canal, right? In terms of the stress and hey, what's going to happen, right? The week leading up is when we are at our calmest, most likely, because that's when we're teaching. But I think we complemented each other well in the majority of the season. And played off one another. Like I'll say this, like defensively, we were scratching the surface of where we can go. I've been blessed in my career to coach some great young men at multiple places now. Like, our John Carroll, that was the expectation was, hey, we're not giving up more than 16 points a game, 17 points a game, because that's what Coach Staley, Coach Shula, those guys did before us, and that's what we're going to do. And now I think seeing that here is like, hey, we can continue to strive for that. We want to be not only number one landmark, but tops on defense, and we got to continue to find ways to do that. And then offensively, I would almost say it's been more fun to see the weeks when they're humming and now you play with a lead, right? I think that in itself makes our defense better, especially the back half of the year when we were able to, get out our offense scores on the first drive and then just puts them behind the 8 ball and defensively now we can kind of get them behind and hunt the sticks a little bit, right? So I think as long as we complement one another, it's always fun to see. The offense, really has done a phenomenal job, and defensively, we still got some ways to go, but we're excited about the growth. And now, again, that standard of performance, right? It's not now a surprise to them, right? They say, hey, we can do this. Now you want to take it a step further. Can we be one of the not only top defenses in the conference, but in the country?
Did you ever think when you were growing up in Marlton that you would be a college football coach?
No, no. To be honest with you, at first, I think some of my family, they definitely thought doctor. My mom wanted me to be a doctor. I joke about that. It lasted about 4 days at college. My freshman year, took that biochem double, that Muhlenberg. I was like, you know what, this ain't for me. But I always knew I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed like talking to people and, conveying information like that. And I think teaching was always of interest. I did not think the college thing would happen. I thought I'd be a high school teacher and hey, coach some football, coach some baseball, and that was it. Once I got into the teaching world, but really I got the bug and was really able to, you know, Mike Donnelly being my coach and Tom Perkovich and Trey Brown, guys that were, huge influences on me. And then I got to see their love for what they were able to do. It really piqued my interest probably later in my college career, but definitely growing up, not on the bingo card. I could say that for sure.
Your first game of the season this year is Muhlenberg. What's that like going back to Muhlenberg and kind of seeing everything and kind of being on the other sideline?
For sure. I think it's special, number one. To be a part of that rivalry in any capacity is special, right? I think there's great memories on both sides, and now we have to, work our tail off to make sure we're getting on the right side of it. again. But for me personally, Duke meant so much to me, Mike Donnelly, and his passing was, a few years back was tough for the program, tough for everybody, right, in this area. And he's one of the best coaches I had ever been around. So the memories flood back when you get there. My first game as a head coach 2 years ago was at that field, right? So that was a really special moment, right? And then the game started, right? So like at the end of the day, you kind of got to put that in a box and there'll be times to reflect, afterwards, but I know it's a special one and seeing, family and friends that are able to come out to that is always a fun time. But it's a great program, a great rivalry, and I'm honored to have a little place in it.
Now, I asked you last time we spoke, could you give us a half of snaps at the defensive line in a game? Now, I'm gonna ask you again. Now that it's the summer, it's a lot nicer outside. Could you give us a half?
I probably would have been better off in the winter time, to be honest with you. This heat gets me. I was meant for polar bear temps, but I could give you one snap. All right, I could if you 4th and 1. I think, and again, I don't know how effective it would be, right? But in terms of my max effort, I know I could give you one, right? I think that's the fair one. What would happen? I don't know. Right?
Now,
I'm trained to be touch first, create violent knockback. That would be my mission, and we'll see what happens from there.
ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, as one of your duties on campus, you are the site supervisor for baseball and softball. Have you ever thought about kind of stepping up to the plate and taking a few swings?
So I loved playing baseball as a kid, and played through high school. So if there are times where they said, "Hey, coach, come on in and let's hit some BP," I would be psyched to do so. Again, have not swung a bat meaningfully since I was 18. So we're talking 15, 16 years now. Sad to say that, but I don't know how good it would look. And then the softball too is a lot of fun to watch. Though both of them, right? It's great. It's a great time. We have great teams here. Our softball team had super regional this past year. Baltzy does a great job. Coach Cole does a great job with baseball. So it's fun. It's an honor to be a part of it. And I love being able to relax and watch a game. Big Phillies fan too. So anytime I can watch baseball, it's a good time.
Phillies. It had to be the Phillies. I'm
Has to
like
be.
wearing the shirt here.
But yeah,
Yeah,
hey, it's a tight one this year. We got to be
too
ready.
tight. Stress. It's stressful. It is stressful. It is stressful. Now,
Yes, it
one of
is.
the things that you were awarded was the one of the AFCA's 35 under 35. Wasn't meant to be recognized by your peers as one of the best coaches 35 and under.
It was definitely a really cool experience. Uh, you know, like I said, I've been blessed to work at some great places and be around some great people, and you know, things have gone well, right? And it's better than I could have cooked up in my wildest daydreams, right? So, to see that, I think it's a testament to the great places I've been, the people I've been around, and then also too, just I pride myself on being a teacher, right? And I think that has really played well, and you know, puts me in a position where when people get a chance to see it, they like it and they want to be a part of it. So it was really special though. The AFCA is a phenomenal organization that I'm proud to be a part of. I think the causes, the focus that they have to help the game and grow the game is second to none. It's why the game continues to grow and not, like other sports at times wane in popularity, right? I think the AFCA does a really good job of that. Um, to make sure our game is in a great place and heading in a great direction and teaching other coaches too, right? I think that's why I got into it. I was coaching high school, and then I went to the Nike clinic in Allentown, PA, and heard Joe Moorhead speak. And he was the head coach at Fordham at the time. And literally, he talked about his four verticals passing game for almost 5 hours. Like he just kept going. He was the last speaker of the Sunday morning. Nobody's in there. I'm one of five people, but he just cranked it out, and I learned so much there and others. But that one was like, wow, this guy loves it, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that I think the AFCA makes really accessible, and it's awesome to see and build that camaraderie amongst the profession. So to be recognized by them means of the world. Um, because hey, again, it's a great group of people in the profession, and if they like what I'm doing, I'm going to keep trying to make them proud.
Now, with summer here, I'm sure that it is barbecue time. What's on the grill at the house, and what are your favorite? If you had a plate to make of whatever barbecue you want, stack it as
Okay.
high as you want, as much as you want, what would you
Yeah,
have?
love that. So Obviously, anytime you got to take, I love grilling, right? If we can do steak dinner, if it's in the budget, let's go. That's exciting. But the two or three things that have been really big on the grill this summer, we do a chicken thigh, like homemade barbecue marinade, a little more vinegary than it is barbecue, to be honest with you. So I think it's phenomenal. It's called Fireman's Chicken, from up in the Binghamton area. It is a fantastic marinade. We get after it there. Some ribs, right?
Mm.
Season up a little salt, pepper, some garlic salt, a little bit. Like you said, we can get some different spices, right? But you keep it simple, right? Let the flame do the work, and then pork chops. I'm a big like boneless pork chop guy. You go to Costco, get the thick Johns. I'll tell you, you can treat them like a steak and they'll be good to you, right? And those have been the big three this summer. Big hit in the Long household. When we're able, we do our Costco meat run and we can stack days on those. I'm usually happy, good dad in the summertime. You know what I mean? Everybody's getting fed well and they're going to bed full.
What side dish?
Oh yeah. So my wife will definitely she'll go some type of baked potato or sweet potato, right? Which I'm never complaining. I can do that every day. Um, but the one in the summer that I highly encourage, either Jersey corn, okay? Jersey corn, Jersey sweet corn is some of the best around. But also my wife will do like a tomato basil mozzarella salad for the summer. Is a lot like again, just a nice light like, hey, like we're having meat, but now we're getting some of that greens. And again, Jersey tomatoes are second to none. So we find a way to incorporate those veggies in. But that would be probably the side dishes for me. The corn, though, I could probably do half a dozen years. It's lethal. It is lethal.
Now, as last question for you, as a Philly sports fan, when you look at the Sixers, is it time to move on for Embiid, or do you think that it's just he is what he is? He is what he's going to be for the next few years.
Wow. So basketball is probably the sport I'm least familiar with. Like I love hockey, right? I love the Flyers, even though they're struggling right now. Basketball though was never my deal. I love watching it. Embiid is a special player. So for anybody to say otherwise, I think is really foolish. You can tell when he's on the court and healthy, it's special to watch. My thing that they've broken my heart now, the Celtics series a few years back really kind of broke my heart of like I don't think I could put myself through it anymore. In terms of watching, because I love like growing up, I love Allen Iverson, all like I've watched through the process, all that. But then like 19 when Kawhi hit the shot, and then 23 when we blew the lead 3-2 to Boston. For me, it's just hard to there's only so many sports that I could just keep putting on this. So the Sixers now are casual viewing for me. It doesn't mean I love them less, but I cannot let my mood be dictated by their success.
That makes
I
sense.
think that's the way I look at it now. I think Joel Embiid's a special player. It's good. It's been awesome to watch him. Am I going to be upset if he's not playing 50 games next year? I'm not going to let myself stress, right? I think that's where I'm at. Long-winded answer as a Philly sports fan. Sometimes you gotta. Ooh. Same with the
Now,
birds. I love the birds, right? But they will not dictate my mood anymore. I knowing people there on staff now, obviously, hey, they won the Super Bowl. It's great. But I'm the guy that when they're complaining about Coach Sirianni, I'm like, that's one of the best coaches around. He's a great dude. Coached against his brother, Washington Jefferson. You couldn't ask for a better coaching family, right? And when people, Eagles fans are irrational. So I try to be the rational one and just say, yeah, no, be quiet. Right. Like, so I don't let it bother me. And when I get to watch the NFL, it's usually week 15. So I get to tune in and religiously watch. So I just like playing catch up and letting it relax.
now, you mentioned being a Flyers fan. One of the things I've always, being a fan of the Rangers, same division, I never understood how the Flyers were not able to get over the hump. They had Lindros, they had Leclerc, they had everyone else. What was it about Bobby Clark's management that just didn't fit?
I think at times, like, and again, no disrespect to Mr. Clark. He's still a legend, right? I can't, hockey too, I will say, more than any sport, they honor those past guys, man. I do not want to get the mob on me if to disrespecting Bobby Clark. But, but there was never the right combo or timing of goaltending's been an issue, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Like last year alone was rough. Okay. Obviously they've had some bad luck in those positions. Then you look at they had Bobrovsky, like he was their starter. The guy's now back-to-back cup champ, and he's 37 years old. And we were just like at 28 or 20, or no, 14 years ago. So he was 25. We're
Hmm.
like, trade him. He sucks. We kind of pulled the plug a little too early, I think, in those years, because the other guy stole ours was the same thing. He's now starting in Toronto. So, and then having great runs. So I think there's like a little bit of like Philly and everything, there's no patience, right? There's no time to let you develop. Hockey is just as crazy at times of a fan base. And then too, like sort of like the Red Sox prior to '04, I would say some weird like folklore of injuries that have derailed great promise. Like Lindros gets knocked out, right? Career ended. Now, if Lindros played now, I don't know if you'd see a better player in the league. Like the way they protect guys now, and not they should, right, for all the head injuries. But my man would be a freight train. But he played so big and physical. Like those guys, they was headhunted, and his poor guy, probably has some real concussion issues now. It just never timed up right. And then the miracle run in 2010 was what it was. It was a miracle run of a young core that had, not a ton of star power, but played well together and got hot on the last day, right? That was that shootout with Briere to get him in, right? And Brian Boucher, not Bobby Boucher, not the water boy, but Brian Boucher is the goalie, right? Like, oh, it's absolute insanity. And they can't get over the hump. They never compliment each other. When they're scoring a lot, they have no goaltending. Or they can't do anything now. They're in that rebuild and they have bad goaltending. So just a rough go. But they got the young Russian. Mishkov is fun to watch. And I'm excited to see where they go with it. To see Danny Briere now in charge and Keith Jones, like that's fun to see. They're former players that you grew up watching. So we'll see. But you congrats on being Rangers being dominant. Like I know they had a rough year last year, but they've been a class of hey consistency up until that point, right? Like for us now, we got to get back to that.
It's tough because when you watch the Rangers and Flyers, you know the Flyers are always going to physically intimidate and push the Rangers around. No matter who the Rangers have, it's just a thing. We just have to be
Yes.
all right with it because just the hope is to outscore and get off the ice because the Rangers can have they had enforcers before, but they had enforcers at the end of the careers who they were done. They just around to cash
Yeah.
a check, and the Flyers have always had a guy in the minors, be it Scranton, be it wherever else, come up, lay people out, score a
Oh yeah.
goal, and sit down. It
And
just
now Coach Rick Tocchet, right? He's back.
yes,
So he was that guy, right? He was the true enforcer. Tock was the man. So hopefully you can keep that going. Like you said, it's been cool to know that hey, the Broad Street Bullies, that physicality thing's always been there. Hopefully they can, you know, gel it all together so we can win some more games. That would be fun.
he is the head football coach at Moravian University, Coach Jeff Long. Coach Long, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Ad Drop Podcast.
Terrance, thank you, man. Always a pleasure.